this moment is the best moment of your life. How many of us actually believe that? Let me try that one more time. This moment is the best moment of your life. Now, do you believe it? My guess is most of us in this room believe that our best moments have yet to come. Maybe it's the day we graduate. Maybe it's the day we land our dream jobs. Maybe it's the day we meet the love of our lives. Or maybe it's when we give a TED Talk. Our culture instills in us this idea that our best moments are somewhere in the future. We pass around these memes on social media that say, the best is yet to come, implying that the moment that we're in right now doesn't really matter. I believe that we believe in our minds that sometime in the future, when we find love, when we find success, then and only then will we be complete. But what if we were to let go of this attachment to this idea that our future holds our best moments? What if we're already complete? What if this moment is the best moment of our lives? Mindfulness and meditation are things I believe that teach us that the best moments of our lives are right here, right now. Mindfulness is defined as paying attention on purpose, moment by moment, without an attachment to the outcome. So mindfulness teaches us that this is the moment that we can fully take in our emotions and our thoughts. It teaches us that this is the moment that we can take in the sights and the sounds that surround us. It teaches us that this is the moment that we can fully feel our bodies. So if I were to ask you what your hands felt like 10 years ago, or what they will feel like 10 years from now, would you be able to give me an answer? I'm going to take that as a no. But I do know that you can tell me how your hands feel right in this moment. A really great way for us all to check in and get present is with our breath. So I'd love for you all to join me in a little exercise. I'm going to ask you all to close your eyes. And I want you to imagine that every single cell in your body has its own set of lungs. And we're going to breathe with our whole body. So I want you to inhale and exhale. And one more time, inhale and exhale. And you can open your eyes. Thank you. Mindfulness is something that I've studied for many years. It's something that I'm truly passionate about because I believe in the positive impact that it can have on us on a daily basis. I teach courses on it. I take myself on retreats where we sit in meditation for upwards to 10 to 12 hours. And today, I'd like to talk about what it would look like for us to let go of our attachment to our outcomes so that we're living our days as each of our days are our best days of our lives. And we're unattaching ourselves from yesterday or tomorrow, and we're living right here in the now. The funny part is, for me, I grew up attaching myself to outcomes. I attached my self-worth to a ton of my outcomes. I was attached to the grades that I received. I was attached to the college that I would get into. I was attached even to this ring that I would hopefully someday receive. I wholeheartedly believed that once I had all these things, that I would be enough and I would be complete. When I was about 2 years old, my family and I came to America from India. We came here with 2 suitcases, $300, and a wish to fulfill the American dream. My parents had master's degrees, yet they ended up cleaning toilets, working at gas stations, doing whatever they could to make ends meet. My parents sacrificed all that they had just so I could show up to the doorstep of the University of Florida. And by that time, I had been asked over and over the infamous question, what would you like to be when you grow up? I'm guessing you guys have been asked that a couple times yourselves. And maybe you don't have an answer. I didn't have an answer. What I did know is that I wanted to be financially secure, and I wanted to be successful. And that's where happiness lives, right? My parents gave me the best advice they had, and I felt safe choosing between being a lawyer, a doctor, or an engineer. You guys feel me on that one. 5 years later, I walked across the stage at graduation, and I received my degree in computer engineering and science. It didn't matter that I hated it, because I would be successful. And I was, depending on your definition. For 8 years, I traveled around the country as a healthcare IT consultant. I was finally wearing fancy clothes, taking high-end vacations, all while depositing check after check into my bank account. I had what most people considered it all, yet not at all. I recall getting to work and feeling this sense of suffocation. I would sit behind my desk, sit at my computer, look at the clock. It'd be 8:01, and I'd be hoping it would be 4:59. Yeah, fun times. Yet people thought I had it all. And I would hear myself ask myself the question, is this what life is supposed to be about? My heart would chime in and ask me, do the numbers in your bank account really make you happy? So, in my last 3 years in my healthcare IT career, I questioned myself, I questioned my heart, and I listened to everyone else tell me how crazy I was, and then I quit. I left behind the 6-figure salary, the fancy vacations, and the safety net I'd built for years to start something of my own. I said bye to my cute little apartment in Manhattan, and I showed up to Gainesville, and we started a co-working startup incubator. I wanted to infuse passion into my days. I wanted happiness, and I wanted meaning. And for me, creating community and building something I wished existed when I was in college was how I thought I would do it. And that's where the story ends, because that's how all happy fairy tales end, right? What people don't know is when you start your own business, what it really looks like. So for me, what it looks like was me logging on to my bank's website, typing into my account information, and looking at that number get smaller and smaller and smaller. Having fear and doubt show up and ask me, do you think you've made the right choice now? I was in complete confusion. I had picked something I was passionate about, yet I felt this sense of incompleteness. How did that happen? Even though we had created something really unique in Gainesville, I would ask my business partner on a daily basis, when do you think we'll be successful? It was at that point I asked myself, I think I feel like a failure. 8 months in. And it wasn't that we were failing or failing to find funding or failing to create an impact. I had this idea of what success was supposed to look like. I thought that once I had this new outcome, that I would be more complete. And I thought, well, how do I now tell my parents that sacrificed everything that I had taken the career that they nurtured me for, all to be sad, confused, and wanting to destroy it again? All I really wanted was for someone to give me one really big reset button. But I couldn't do that, not for myself. And I decided I needed to do what I had been teaching for years, what I had been sharing with others. I needed to use the mindfulness, and I needed to take a step back. So if you ask anyone if in the first 8 months of starting a company, if taking a step back is okay, they will tell you, definitely not. But our society doesn't focus on when Steve Jobs went to India to meditate. They focus on his innate genius. So I did it anyway. From then on, I meditated, I wrote, I listened to my insides. I went on a 10-day silent retreat that meant no writing, no reading, no music, no talking, just me, myself, and I. And it was in that silence that I really dig deep. And I came out and I asked myself, how can I find happiness right now where I am? And I came out with one resounding answer. I had to let go of the outcome. And there were 3 things that I feel like continue to help me to do that I'd love to share with you all today. First, think with your heart. Mindfulness teaches us to be more aware of our bodies, and it also teaches us how to be more aware of our emotions and our thoughts. So what it teaches us is when a thought could be coming from our brains or our hearts. For me, I had spent so much time thinking with my brain, I thought, how can I pick the smart, logical career? Yet, the reason I'm on this very stage today is because I chose to think with my heart. Otherwise, I would listen to my brain tell me how big of a mistake I was making to leave my lucrative career. But we hear, follow your heart in storybooks all the time. But how much do we practice thinking with our hearts? You see, our brain, it gives us answers from the outside. Society, friends, family, social media, they all have an opinion on how we should be living our lives. But our real answers, they lie within. So how can you create the space to listen and think with your heart? Spend time alone. Spend time getting present with yourself and not your cell phone. Try journaling. Something really beautiful happens when you can have a conversation with yourself on paper. And ask yourself, what are you currently doing out of obligation versus from your heart? Second, choose to be okay with uncertainty. It's our human condition to run to what's comfortable, to run to what's predictable. I craved predictability and certainty when I started my business. I wanted somebody, anyone, to tell me that everything was going to be okay. And people can try, but the truth is that no one can tell us certainly whether something will be a huge success or a huge failure. So how can you be okay with uncertainty? By using mindfulness, we can check in to see when we become uncomfortable with the unknown. We can choose to accept that the only thing guaranteed for each one of our lives is that it will one day come to an end. We can choose to be aware that there will always be things that we can and we can't control. You see, when we're attached to the certainty of an outcome, we're limited. But when we open our minds to the uncertainty of an outcome, we are unlimited. We're open to that outcome being even more beautiful than we could have ever imagined. And my question for you all is, what are you willing to do for the experience rather than what you hope will come out in the end? Third was serve the moment. Mindfulness teaches us how to be present. And it's a constant practice. It's a continual learning thing. It's not something that we aim to perfect or become masters at. For the past 6 hours, I've been dealing with nerves, thinking about, oh my gosh, how am I going to face everybody in that audience? And having to remind myself that I'm here to serve the moment and to be here with you all. Serving the moment doesn't mean that we can't work on a goal that we're proud of or that's important to us. Actually, the only way to get to a goal is through the present. By showing up for the little steps in between until we reach our goal. In this moment, we can feel it, we can see it, and we can touch it. Yet, we miss these ones by choosing to check out and not being present. Show up for this one, because once it's gone, you can never get it back. When I began this talk, I talked about how we reach for outcomes, but what we're really reaching for is our self-worth. And what we end up doing is we end up living in moments that are outside of ourselves. So I'm here today to remind us all that you are already enough. We can choose to let go of any outcome because no person, no thing, no outcome will ever make you more enough than you already are. In this best moment, you are already enough.